Hey there, friends. By now, many of you have already seen the since deleted post by the coward state representative Gene Wu out of Texas. Now, I kind of chuckle when I say that because some of these people take themselves way too seriously. This dude's a state rep and he acts like he's a big timer, which, I mean, politicians mean nothing to me anyway. But nevertheless, this guy thinks he's a big timer, state rep. He posted on Twitter after a series of other posts some kind of threatening things against the people of Texas, or about the people of Texas, and really about patriots nationwide in general who supported what Texas is doing in the whole razor wire fiasco that's going on right now. You'll know that Texas prohibits right now the federal government from cutting razor wire, and the federal government has since won a Supreme Court ruling, temporary no doubt, saying that the federal government can still cut the razor wire. Now, again, like I said in my other video, Texas can still place the razor wire. The Supreme Court had nothing to do with saying that Texas could or could not. They're just saying you have to let the federal government cut holes in your razor wire, is what they're saying. So a lot of the country, including 25 Republican governors, have come out in support of Texas, saying that we've got your back. Well, apparently the state senator in Texas wasn't real happy with that, and he took a post that was by End Wokeness that said 10 states with the most guns per capita, and they go on to list Montana through North Dakota and how many adults percentage-wise have guns in each of those states. At the bottom of it, it says all 10 of these states support the Texas border resistance against the federal government. Well, Wu took that along with some of the other posts that you see right here with missiles being dropped by some guy named Evan, forwarded it and retweeted it and added his own little smart-ass remark that says, it's all fun and games until someone eats a drone-fired Hellfire missile. This is a recurring tactic of the left. The left, who claim everybody else is fascist, are the ones who make physical threats all the time. We're talking about the likes of Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Gene Wu. These people are notorious. Who's the guy who farted on camera? The one who looks like he's perpetually taking a dump.
The president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
Swalwell. Remember he said that something about a Tomcat or something like that. Nukes. Said they were going to nuke us with bombs. This is a normal thing for them. And I think the reason why is because they probably would do it. Seriously. I think these people, in order to gain favor and gain their position, if they see that they're losing it, would probably do this. Name one conservative person who has made this kind of a threat, saying they would use federal power and federal weapons and the military against the American people. I honestly looked and I did not find one. I don't know if there is any such thing, but it's just not common. That's one of those things where you know that the whole progressive liberalism movement, there really is a screw loose, because these people really enter in. It's not a matter of I like the color red and I like the color of blue. It is a mental deformity that they have, that their mind is just wired different. They think different. They think that this, and now they'll come back and say, oh, that's never what I meant. But they think in their minds that this would be an acceptable maneuver. In the event that other people came to the aid of the Texas border, this guy would be okay with Hellfire missiles being dropped on his own neighbors. People who live in his neighborhoods who don't agree with him, this guy thinks would be okay to bomb them, to use taxpayer dollars to kill these people. That's how this guy thinks. That's how most of, not all, I'm not going to generalize like they do, but that's how most of this party thinks. They think that you should go away and cease to exist if you don't think like them. That is a mental deformity. Something is wrong with people who can haphazardly and so freely and eagerly make threats, idle threats, against their own neighbors, their own countrymen in many cases. Now, the guy didn't stop there. He's posted another one. Guys, most of you coming to Texas to start SHIT won't have to worry about the feds killing you with drone strikes. Again, kind of doubling down on his own threat, because he's making fun of these people who are over here apparently training. Now, I couldn't help it, and I had to fire back at him posting on his own Twitter account before he deleted it. I might add, he has since deleted it. I posted, I think old soy boy Gene is confusing the words drone-fired Hellfire missile, and I misspelled that. I went back and corrected that, with what he orders up at the gay bathhouses he frequents. Stop threatening innocent, free people, boy. Many tyrants are still tyrants. Now, as I stated, this guy has since gone on and deleted that post. He's still running his mouth on Twitter, if you want to go take a look here, and I'll actually post his Twitter here. He's still running his mouth about a lot of stuff, and he's still talking a lot of smack, but he took this post down. There's a difference between people like this and people like me. If I put a post up that hurts somebody's feelings, it's still out there. Because I'm not anybody else's bitch. I don't take marching orders from other people. This guy does. He is a bitch. In my case, if I'm wrong about something, I will delete that post, that comment, that video, or whichever. I'll try to make it right by getting the bad information out. These people won't do that. You notice how they always leave misinformation up and bad information up? They won't even delete an error. A threat like this, he deleted it, not because he thinks he needed to, not because he realized he was out of bounds, because again, he was doubling down on it on other posts. Somebody, his slave master, reached out to him and said, "You need to take that down, boy." So this is proof how they act and how we act. We will stand firm on anything that we put out there, and we're not taking it down, unless obviously the powers that be take it down. This boy took it down because his master told him, take this down. I don't understand. I'm going to go back to the whole state representative, and with all due respect to state politicians and smaller community politicians, parish and county politicians, with all due respect to you guys, I want you to understand something. The days of you all putting yourselves up above anybody, and this goes for federal too, the days of you people putting yourselves above other people because you somehow got elected into some kind of a political office, those days are over. For all the bad stuff that happens with the internet, there's a lot of good that comes with that too. And one of the good things is a lot of people are realizing that they have put you incorrectly on pedestals for a very long time. Those days are dwindling, guys, especially these little pawns like Gene Wu at the state level. You people buy your groceries at the same places we do. You live in the same neighborhoods we do. Now, the reason why I don't include our federal people is because they're gazillionaires. They're so corrupt, they make so much more money, we ain't living in the same neighborhoods. But this boy, Gene Wu, is living in the same neighborhoods as us, and he's threatening his own neighbors with stuff like this. These guys realize to a certain degree when to shut their mouths. I can promise you that whenever he runs, jogs, or of course a little guy like this is likely not into any kind of fitness. He's probably some Cheeto-eating goofball that sits on his couch and plays games, video games. Again, nothing wrong with that, but that's likely what this guy does. And he's most likely got to hide out because he runs his mouth. People that run their mouth usually have to hide out. But it's very unlikely that you're going to catch this guy in some kind of a neighborhood atmosphere and he's going to run his mouth. He's not going to run his mouth. Because all it takes is one guy who's not having it that he threatens. And these types of things that they post online, when they brag about their little red flag gun laws, these are the kind of things right here that would trigger a red flag gun law. And some people aren't going to make a phone call to report little Gene Wu whenever they feel threatened by him. They're going to punch him in the mouth. So guys like this sometimes get a little too big for their britches and they learn their lesson the hard way. But sometimes they're smart and they don't open themselves up to that by going out into those local communities to where they're susceptible to that. Because they're smart enough to know I have threatened an entire group of people, and this guy's in the Houston area. There's probably a couple of million people that would like to have their way, at least a couple of minutes, with little Gene Wu.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's over!